Hi, I'm Mino Lora. I moved to New York at 19 from the Dominican Republic. Arriving here on an academic scholarship to study literature and theater, I was so ready to get away from everything I already knew. I was on a mission to make friends with people who didn't look, talk, or act like the people I grew up with. And I found that escape in Canadian hockey players. They couldn't have been more superficially different. They were 7 feet tall and very white. And during my first time seeing snow, showed me how to sled using cafeteria trays. But like me, they were students from another country landing here in the US. From hockey to their accents, their culture, just like mine, was definable and ever present in who they were as individuals, as a community, and as my friends. For as much as I tried to push my Dominicanidad away, my tall, white Canadian friends somehow reminded me of it. Together, we were sancocho. A sancocho is a traditional Latin American stew. Every country has their own version, but in the Dominican Republic, it's a national dish. Meats and root vegetables like plátano, yuca, and corn all dropped into a caldero, the biggest pot in the kitchen. And the ingredients aren't blended, but simmer for hours until they're all cooked perfectly together. We eat sancocho on rainy and cold days, when we're sad, in pain after a long night of dancing, and to bring in the new year. We eat sancocho to celebrate and when we need our community to nourish us. You see, a sancocho is as much a dish as it is a practice. We make it to share, to bring our people, family, friends, and neighbors to the table, to make and feel joy. It's beautiful. And it's precisely why the idea of the US as a melting pot doesn't sit right with me. In a melting pot, the ingredients are blended and boiled together. Individuality, what makes us unique, is erased. In society, this is what we know as assimilation, and it's a particular pressure for immigrants, from code switching, translating for our parents, to working jobs we didn't go to school for. Fresh out of college, I grabbed my brand new black and white headshots and started auditioning. But just as soon as I started, there was an audition, and there's always that one that I still remember every second of. It was for an agent in Midtown, the heart of the theater district. And when I tell you I nailed this audition, I knew this role was mine and braced myself accordingly. And then she said, "You're talented, but the truth is there aren't too many roles for Latinas like you in theater. I mean, if you toned it down, you could pass as ethnically ambiguous and try for TV, but you'll need to lose 20 pounds to even be considered first." My heart dropped. She wasn't the first person in the US to tell me who I could and could not be here. And I knew exactly what that Latinas like me was. Soon after, I stopped auditioning and started waiting tables to pay the bills. And I loved it. I could be myself and got to make people feel welcome. To be clear, I was broke, but I finally felt the joy, the very joy I'd been missing. Creating experiences for people nourished me in a way acting did not. So I made the decision to chase that feeling. While waiting tables at night, I started teaching theater in schools all over New York City during the day. And I kept finding myself with students who, like me, were new to this country and struggling to find their way. From launching English literacy programs for college cafeteria and janitorial staff, to teaching theater to girls in South Africa impacted by HIV, or producing a play with teens in San Jose de los Llanos in partnership with the Obama State Department, the experience of working with thousands of students here and abroad has shown me a common thread among all of us. People want to feel alive, to be nourished, we all had this longing for that rich experience of sancocho, not the bland melting pot we were so often confronted with. My students and I wanted to be accepted and celebrated for who we are and what we can add. During the 2008 recession, I took the money I'd saved from waiting tables to continue building this community. With $400, I founded the People's Theater Project, a theater and social justice nonprofit that now employs a staff of 30 and has an operating budget of $1 million. We serve 1,000 young people annually, and over the past 12 years, unexpectedly helped lead the cultural renaissance of Upper Manhattan. We're successful because we encourage our students to embrace their identity as their superpower. We put on shows no one expects. Often we are the first experience in this country for new immigrants. And yet I was still in negotiation with parts of my own identity, because now I was a Latina immigrant serving as an executive director of a cultural arts institution. I had students depending on me in ways I couldn't have imagined when I first came here. And now that I had this responsibility, I worried about disappointing them or robbing them of an opportunity because I was too Latina for the majority white, male-led world of arts in New York City. In the beginning, we performed the classics out of necessity because they were safe. Immigrants, accents, and all brought new life to Shakespeare. We can embody these famous works and in doing so, communicate our own stories of heartbreak and love. There is so much space in this world for all of our stories and the stages we perform them from. Yet our experiences as immigrants and people of color, as whole, fully realized people who feel more than the pain white supremacy imposes, need to be written and performed. I took it as my responsibility to create that opportunity at People's Theater Project. If I'd learned anything in life up to that point, it was chasing that feeling of joy worked. We took all the principles and practice of sancocho, this abundance of self, and put it into everything we did at People's Theater Project. And the work resonated stronger than I could have expected. We partnered with over 20 schools through the Department of Education to reach as many young people as possible. Working with the Manhattan DA's office, our oldest students performed a piece educating their peers on fraud against aging immigrants. And with the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs, our teens started in a piece about their rights down at City Hall. We tell stories from the seemingly mundane to the devastation that follows a deportation from a parent, everyday struggles of inequitable schools and housing, the impacts of gentrification, and how dangerous racial profiling is. Through art, music, poetry, dance, and dialogue, we're able to tell these stories of belonging. We do them in a way that honors our struggles, but celebrates the immovable joy of our identities. This balance is how we not only survive, but thrive in a world simultaneously consuming our art while working against us as your neighbors. For anyone who's been historically oppressed and unrepresented, joyfully embracing our identity is a powerful act of resistance. It's a path to liberation. And it's out of this love for ourselves and our people, the communities we build and the art we create, that we discover our true purpose in life. And we don't have to blend in. By not giving up on myself in that audition room all those years ago, I found my purpose and helped others just like me along the way do the same. By being a proud Dominicana, communicating in Spanglish, that gives permission to others to do the same, to, in their own way, be themselves. So I invite you to ask yourself, what kind of world do you want to live in? One where we lose the most unique parts of ourselves to blend in? Or a sancocho, where every ingredient adds to the stew, and in so doing nourishes ourselves and the people we love. Because let's be real, melting pots are bland and boring, and we all deserve to live with sazon.